Hello, hello. Hopefully we get at least a viewer or two. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Hello, hello. Okay, well, I guess we get no viewers today. That's unfortunate. But all right, well, I guess I'll just start talking like a madman. Um all right, so here we have the good old chat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did I get a chat? No way. Chat rate 1. What the fuck? What does that even mean? Um I don't think anyone actually chatted, so that's kind of weird. I guess I could check on YouTube though. Let's take a gander. Huh. Why can I not go into my stream? Let me reload YouTube. Why is it not letting me why it sucks to be born Asmon Gold. Okay. Maybe my bitrate is too high? I mean, it says I'm live. Let me go to YouTube up here. Hello, hello. Let me go to YouTube up here. Okay, no, we're not. For some reason it's not letting me click on it on my phone. That's so kind of weird. But boy, let me tell you. Hello, hello. Okay. I don't know why my phone's not letting me. Okay, anyways, I suppose we will. Oh, it says we have one concurrent viewer, and that would be me. More than likely. There we go. That only took a second to. Okay, regardless. What's up? What's up, y'all? I'm just gonna be talking, I guess, about the EVC. Good old EVC. If y'all don't know what that is, it's pretty much something that you hook up to the GPU Okay, here I'll pull a picture of it. If y'all have never seen this, EBC2SE. Okay, clearly I gotta type in Elmore Labs. It's not gonna just pop straight up. It's kind of a niche product. Not actually kind of, it's a very niche product. Like most people are not, unless you're you could use this on anything really. You could, oh, they went back in, they were cheaper. When I bought mine, I paid like 45 for it. Damn, Elmore, why you scamming me, brother? I swear it was not $35. Maybe I'm tripping though. I don't know. Yeah. So pretty much, how to easy to AMD GPUs. Find J403. We could.
Hey guys, Buildzoid here, and today we're hopefully going to be doing a bit of... And is right there.
Okay.
J4003.
Yeah, so pretty much you got to connect the connectors to the, well, on certain GPUs it's going to look a little different than others. On my, let's see, J4003 connector on 7900 XTX Red Devil. All right, let's see if they have, okay, and of course that does not exist. I should have taken pictures when I installed it. Actually, when I installed my EBC, I installed it correctly. Then I thought I didn't do it correctly because I didn't know how to use the software. So you have to come to I2C1, right? And you have to select the profile of your GPU, your specific GPU, and for the XTX, that is MP2857. Okay? And when you first download software, it's going to be a long list of a bunch of profiles. And you only want to focus on this one, or, you know, you got to, like, let's see. What profile is the 9070 XT and Elmore EBC2 software? I don't even know if this would pop up. Anyone overclocking their 9070 XT? You know what? ChatGPT would probably know the answer. I'm not even gonna lie. ChatGPT probably would. Okay. That's fine. Okay. What is the profile for the 9070 XT in Elmore Labs PC software? Example. Next is MP2857. Okay. But for, okay. Okay, maybe the, okay, let's look up, what about the, 7900 XT? Let's see if it has an answer. Okay, yes. God, ChatGPT is kind of creepy, bruh. Not gonna lie. I don't think this is correct. It does not, they do not share the same address. So ChatGPT is a dumbass with this topic in particular. And I'm out of coffee. That's fine though. I don't need any more coffee. After all, I got work tomorrow. Let's go. Okay, so anyways, yeah, you have to figure out, that's, honestly, I don't know exactly how you go about figuring that out. But normally, well, what I would recommend doing is going to Discord and going to the Elmore Labs Discord channel, and I'm sure somebody over there would know what the profile is. Anyways, you got to find your addresses. So if you click Find Devices, it'll say DevScan OK found 3 addresses: 22, 24, and 26. So 22 is your main, like where you're gonna switch your eye out gain. 24 is for the Infinity Fabric. You don't really have to mess with that all that much. Um, I've tried and nothing, no, you can't really improve performance because it's not like you can't like overclock the Infinity Fabric with this software. You can just like change voltages and offset voltages and eye out gain and do all that cool stuff to trick your GPU into thinking that it's not pulling enough power and this and that. And 26 is for your memory. So if I go to I2C1, drop down 22 add, drop down 26 add, then you go to 22. As you can see, my eye out gain is at 100. So you click apply, boom. Now, magically, your XTX has unlimited power. Unlimited. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and then for 26, the memory, which this is where you get like you change like VDD offset and the loop 2 VID offset, that is your memory controller. So memory controller, I stick with generally half around. It doesn't have to be half. There's no like nothing bad's gonna happen if you don't use exactly half. But normally, from the person that kind of taught me on how to like do it, that was his rule. So I kind of go by that. And somebody else before him, that was their rule. So like it's just kind of like normally you just use half of whatever your offset voltage is. For VDD. So right now I have 0.1. I just uploaded a video where it was actually 0.75. So 0.1 is probably about as high as I like. You're not gonna really see that much benefit going higher. Than 0.1 is like the max. I tried 0.15 once just to see if I could get 2850 stable. Nope. I'm just telling you right now, you ain't getting that stable. You're not on an XTX. If you can get 2850 stable, you have a very good memory bin, first off. Yeah, and like it just doesn't scale with it scales with voltage up to 2800 or yeah, 2800 megahertz and just falls off a cliff after that. There's not really, you can get like I can get up to 2810 or 2820, but 2850, no. No. I might try 2830. 2830 might work. I don't know. I haven't really tried it because honestly, at this point, it's like 2800 versus 2830. Like there is a very big difference between 2600 and 2800, or sorry, 2500. My God, let me drink my water. Sorry, I got a whole chug jug, but yeah, there's a very big difference between 2500 and 2800. There is a very small difference between 2800 and 2830. At that point, you're kind of just like nitpicking your overclock, right? Like, what? Come on. If I could, like 2900, like this is theoretically just as fast as GDDR7, pretty much. GDDR6 at 2800. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why. If they would have just bumped GDDR6 voltage up to like 1.45 like I'm running now, and then ran at like really I think most XTXs could have probably gotten 2800 megahertz at 1.45. Maybe it was just like, I guess some of them maybe can't. So they, and obviously I guess with upping voltage, the longevity of the memory chip may be degraded. But I don't care. Like honestly, that's kind of like, I mean, I have a job. Like if something happened to my XTX, I would either just, I don't know, honestly, I'd probably buy a 5080 and then overclock that to the damn moon and see, if I can maybe match a 4090 or, because a 5090, I'm not gonna lie, is just kind of, it's just off the table in terms of price. Like I just, it's not that like I couldn't make it where I could get a 5090 if I like really wanted it, but $2,000 for a GPU. It's just it is just too much money. Like, in my opinion, for anyone. I know people say, like, obviously people can do what they want with their money. If you want a 5090, buy a 5090. But, as a person with his own opinion, like, I would not ever pay that much money for a GPU, even though it is like the best GPU on the market, right? With my XTX, I feel like I get probably about 90 to 95% of the satisfaction um, that users with a 5090 get. Like, I'm normally able to, like, for example, a big thing that people get really mixed up in is setting like ultra textures. And they're like, why is my, or not ultra tech, ultra just graphical quality settings, like all of them, like everyone wants to set it to absolute max and won't settle for anything less. And I'm here to tell you that the difference in today's titles, there are some titles that are exceptions. Like a lot of, esports titles, like performance modes, they really try to bring the quality down in order to like, in order for those esports players to get the most possible frames, the most possible frames that they can possibly get. So, but in like today's titles, if you set quality to like medium or high, it's like you're not going to notice that much of a difference. And especially the main thing that you want to keep on like ultra or high is texture quality. That is like going to be your main driving factor for like how the image looks, in my opinion. Um, from playing games, like shadow quality hits performance way too hard for, in my opinion, not that great of like a it doesn't look all that much better, really. Like medium shadows versus ultra shadows, normally the difference is negligible, especially if you are actually playing the game. If you are if you look at frame by frame, nitpick, yeah, you're gonna notice a difference. But like, for example, in Modern Warfare, I set my shadows to ultra low. I just don't notice that much of a difference. It's for a lot of things I set to like, but I'll set shadows to ultra low, and then I'll leave most everything up to ultra. Game still looks great, and it's honestly like I don't even notice, like, because shadows still exist even when you set them to low. They just, maybe aren't as high of a resolution. Um, you know, Now, obviously, is it nice to be able to just set graphical settings all the way to the, you know, to the moon and back, and not have to worry about it? Yes, of course. But are you willing to spend $2,000 to do that? I would hope not, because it's just like, let's be honest. If you really want to play a game, you like a game, like you'll be willing to lower some graphic setting. But well, and my thing is like with a 5090 being 2,000, and oftentimes, well, really it's more than 2,000. It's like, there are some models that sell for that MSRP of 1999, but most of them go for 2,200 plus. And don't even get me started about the Astral. So many people buy that card, the Asus Astral, and the only redeeming quality about that card, where like I would be interested in it, is because of the load line balancing across the pins on the 12 VH power connector. That is, I think every card should come with that. Sorry, I feel like felt like somebody was coming downstairs. Anyways, let's see if we got anybody in here. No. Well, but where was I at? Where was I at? Yeah, 5090, great card. Don't get me wrong. Would I buy now? I would very much recommend not buying a Founders Edition. And there's a frame. Okay, okay, buddy. Okay. There is a very good reason for that, and that is because the 5090. Let's see. 5090 FE, what is it called? 5090 FE PCIe slot attachment. Let me see if that pulls it up. Right here. Okay. On the FE cards, instead of having a regular PCIe slot that is actually attached to your PCB, what NVIDIA has done is taken this jank ass connector and put a put a connector on the board to plug this in. No, no, no. That is just jank. That is like probably one of the most jank things I've seen in the GPU division. I mean, that's just bound to fail. That's just bound to fail because, you know, like, I would hope that everyone's using a GPU support bracket, right? Like, I would hope so. But when you put, like, obviously it has screws and everything, and, like, you would really hope that that secures it, and, but the weight of the card, like, that's a decent amount compared to this measly little rinky-dink connector. So at least, definitely don't go in. The FE cards look great. They do look great, but at the cost of the, like, I would so much rather NVIDIA had made a larger card that did not need this. Like everyone says, it is very impressive that they were able to fit so many capacitors and, and like, God, I gotta really go over like actual GPU like parts, like the rails and everything, and the um I can't remember the names of like anything right now, of course, but yeah, no, I would have much rather them actually spaced the board out, given it a little bit of room to breathe, because like I don't know that it would have a higher failure rate than other cards. Like, like I was saying, it's impressive, but is it the best for longevity of the card? Is it, and again, I can't really be one to talk, and I'm freaking volt modding my XTX and overclocking it as far as I possibly can. But, well, I guess the real problem with this is that this is how it comes from the factory. It was my own personal choice to put the EVC onto my XTX, and so if it breaks, then it's like on me completely, because the manufacturer actually made like a really good XTX, and if I burn it up from too much voltage or something, that's totally my fault, and I can own up to that. But if my card broke because of some jank ass shit like this, I'd be pissed off, because at that point, in my opinion, that is totally just to me. It seems like an issue that could be totally avoided. There's no reason to have this. Yeah, just make a bigger card. Like, nowadays, people are used to having big cards anyways. Like, yeah, you'll have the the oddball sort of PC build that's tiny, but 95% of people have cases big enough to fit a card bigger than this 5090. Also, I think it's cool that they're thinner now and everything, like the way that they were able to keep temperatures down and which, by the way, you can attribute most of that to liquid metal. I'm just telling you right now, liquid metal, if applied properly, is miles better than thermal paste. A lot of people will say that it's not worth it, this and that, but most of those people, they don't know how to apply it properly. They don't put protective coating over the capacitors around the GPU die. And yeah, when you apply liquid metal like that, you run the risk of killing your hardware. But if you apply liquid metal properly and you put enough on, and because it is a very bad, like, I guess, myth that you need to use a tiny little tiny little piece of liquid metal, which is true in some cases, but on GPUs, you actually, what you want to do is you want to coat the capacitors around the GPU die, and then you want to put I wouldn't say a very generous amount, but a generally generous amount. You want it to be pretty wet so that you make sure that it like suctions almost to the backplate of the GPU. Or not backplate, sorry, the cooler, right? So yeah, and you want to apply the liquid metal on both the GPU die and also on the like copper surface of the GPU cooler to ensure that it actually does like pretty much what like the problem with liquid metal is the surface tension. So you want that surface tension to be broken already. Because if you only put it on the GPU die and not on the copper copper heatsink, then you run the risk of that surface tension like staying when you reapply the cooler, so it's not actually making proper contact to the cooler. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that in a clear manner, but like, you want to, moral of the story, you want to apply liquid metal to both the copper, what do you call it? It's just the copper heatsink. Yeah, I guess heatsink. Yeah, you want to apply it to the copper heatsink and the GPU die. Boom, and your temps will be much better than thermal paste. Yeah, honestly, on pretty much every GPU I own from now on, I'm probably just going to use liquid metal because if you apply it properly, you'll get like 10C better cooling. It's just that simple. So yeah, and that's why Nvidia decided to put liquid metal on their 5090 Fe, is because they knew that with a small cooler like they gave it, I don't care what engineering you put into it. Can you make it better? Yes, but you can't overcome lack of metal for the heat to soak in. So a larger cooler is like, I guarantee you that if you took a larger card like the Astral and put liquid metal on it and tested them side by side, the Astral would be significantly cooler, not because of engineering or anything, just because it has a much larger heatsink. So yeah, and they're using the same, like thermal compound, liquid metal. Yeah, I always thought that was like, I don't know. I definitely prefer a chunky card. I know a lot of people say it's obnoxious or whatever, but like, for example, my Red Devil, I wish the XTX should have been shipped with a much larger heatsink. The 4090s and the 4080s and everything got the most overkill heatsinks known to mankind, and the 79 and the XTX is just left in the damn in the mud with, like, don't get me wrong, the Red Devil has a solid heatsink. It's about the same size as the Nitro Plus. Actually, the Red Devil has a thicker actual, like, it has more metal, so I would say the heatsink is probably actually better than the Nitro Plus. Let's take a look at the Nitro Plus 7900 XTI. And I did have a Nitro Plus, and that card pissed me off, and I'll tell you why. I decided my temps were actually decent. So my hotspot was around 80C, and my GPU was around like 60C or whatever under load, which is great. But obviously, I like to tinker. So, okay, so there's the side profile. So yeah, if I'm looking at my Red Devil, definitely has a bigger heatsink in my, like, from just looking at this picture. And also, if this is the correct fin density, like an actual, okay, if this is the correct fin density, okay, let's take a look at this right here. Like, don't get me wrong, the Nitro Plus looks amazing. It really is a fantastic looking GPU. But my Red Devil definitely has more compact fins. It looks like the Nitro Plus has thicker fins, so maybe they're making up for it. I mean, I'm assuming with these, you know, slightly more spaced out fins, air is able to move better, easier. So my Red Devil has thinner fins, but way more dense. From you know, like just looking at it, definitely a significant amount more dense. Um, so yeah, with that card, I actually sold it to a friend, and he is still using it to this day. So yeah, really great card. I do miss this card. Don't get me wrong, but my Red Devil. See what I did with my Red Devil. Let's look up the Red Devil. Is I actually took off this RGB strip. Because, okay, so you look at the Red Devil right here, and you look at this, and you're like, damn, look at that heatsink. That is a thick chunker, which it is. It is. But that's, I didn't, that is the backside of the GPU. That is actually what first, like, attracted me to this card, is I saw this giant, like, thick-ass heatsink. I'm like, damn, that thing is a chunker. But from the actual front, as you can see, all that airflow right there, that where the heatsink could be like blowing out air and like, you know, you'll have more effective cooling, is just blocked off by this dumbass RGB strip. And don't get me wrong, like it looks good, you know, but I don't care about that. And it still has RGB, like it still has lights underneath the backplate. But I would much rather have, like, I think what they should have done, instead of putting the LEDs here, they should have extended the heatsink all the way down and put the RGB strip here. I'm sure they could have made it work somehow. You know what I mean? Like they could have definitely put that together, and you know, I'm assuming it was like cost cutting. I'm sure that would have been more expensive to do, but shoot, the Red Devil is your highest tier XTX card. Come on now. Like you can you know, spend a couple bucks to really make it a top tier like, you know, now versus the Nitro Plus, a lot of people like they'll say that the Nitro Plus has a vapor chamber, which it does have a vapor chamber. Does it really help performance in the cooling aspect all that much? In my experience, it really didn't do all that much. I actually repasted and my temps got worse. Don't know why. Zero, no, like that shit made no sense to me. So my friend, I went actually over to, well, he brought his PC to my house, and I was just, you know, giving it a little once over, because I'm like everyone's pretty much, like IT guy in the family and friend circle and everything. So I look at his GPU clocks, and I'm noticing they're at like 1500, just abysmal, like horrendous clocks. And I look at his temperatures pegged at 110, pegged. And I'm like, I got to do something about this. I didn't even charge him any money. I went to Micro Center, got one of the like thermal grizzly pads, similar to the honeycomb PTM 7950 pads, very similar to that. Put it on there. Temps were much better, but still nowhere near liquid metal. Like I would, this friend I'm talking about, if he wanted to get an EVC, I would tell him, you can't. You're gonna have to like upgrade the innards of this card for it to actually function properly without throttling. Like for example, I used this is supposed to be an overclocking live stream, but we don't have any viewers, so I'm just going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. But okay, if we go to Micro Center's website, all right, we're at Micro Center's website, and we look up thermal grizzly putty. Let's see if it's pops up. Hold on one sec. All right. Okay, you look up thermal grizzly putty. Boom. Right here. 30 grams, 16.99. Now, don't let this picture fool you. Let me tell you, this is a tiny, well, I guess that is pretty accurate. This is a really small thing of uh like putty. It's pretty small. It's pretty small. I thought it was gonna be, I don't know why I thought 30 grams was gonna be more than what it was, but this is really small. That is the one thing I get that Der Bauer, which is the he's the sole owner of Thermal Grizzly. He is a real he makes really good products, but they're so expensive, and you just don't get enough. Like, if I would rather this be $17 or $18 and get like 40 or 50 grams, right? Like give me enough. Like, if I'm gonna buy this, I want it should at least be able to coat one GPU without a single worry in the world that it's gonna not be enough. So yeah, that's my only complaint with this. But other than that, fantastic stuff. It really is like, so okay, pretty much, yeah, I took the pads off my GPU, re-padded it, right? Like, put the putty on. Only downside is if you ever want to replace it or clean it, it is going to be a biatch to do that. So, all right, we got the putty, and then for this, I actually used good old Cryonaut. Oh, let's see. Let me just type in. I can't. I don't know how to spell Cryonaut. Here we go. Boom. Cryonaut Extreme. The high performance. Oh, no, 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 no. Wrong one. No, no, no. Let's see if I can find this. Thermal Grizzly Conductonaut. That's what I was trying to get to. Conductonaut Extreme. So here we go. Boom. Thermal Grizzly Conductonaut Extreme. Now, y'all could give this a shot. I don't really know. Let's see. I've never actually looked this up before, but we're going to look it up together. Thermal paste, liquid metal mix. I don't know if that's going to... Liquid metal thermal paste. So I think... I don't know if this is just straight... Okay, this is just straight liquid metal, isn't it? Does anyone have any pictures of it? No? Okay. Because I know that for all processors. Okay, so I don't know if this is just, I think this is just straight liquid metal. We're gonna ask ChatGPT because that's normally what I do, because sometimes it can answer my questions, sometimes it can't, and sometimes when it does, it's very convenient. Show me a brand that makes thermal paste mixed with liquid metal, kind of like what Gigabyte puts on their cards. Alrighty. Okay, no. Meta online liquid metal thermal. See, I don't think, yeah, that's not it. One sec, guys. I gotta piss. Okay. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back. All right, so I don't know. Maybe this stuff isn't actually on the market, at least popular enough to be. Because I know Gigabyte. Okay, hold on. What is the thermal paste liquid metal combo that Gigabyte uses? Liquid gallium based compound. Okay, liquid gallium thermal paste. See if we can find that. Uh, 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 liquid metal and liquid metal paste. Okay. So I'm assuming that what Gigabyte did was they probably went to one of these companies. Well, not probably. I know that they went. Yes, they definitely went to one of these companies, and they probably were like, "We want a proprietary sort of liquid metal thermal paste mixture." You know. Now, um, let's see if I can find Jay's 2 cents. Warning. What's the warning about? I'm confused. Why? Yeah. Why is my bitrate so low right now? I wish there was a way that you could like refresh bitrate. That's kind of weird that it's so low. Maybe it'll go back up. It's trying. Let me check my live stream. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see. I mean, it looks fine. From what I can tell. Drop frames 1047. Okay. What am I supposed to do about that? See, now I'm just fucking. Do 1.9. Why not? That definitely did nothing. That's the one annoying thing. Let's see how to refresh. Well, you know what? Maybe ChatGPT can answer this question for me. Um, how can I refresh my live stream while still being instead of ending it and starting again. Platform software. Okay. Fix like change scenes or sources without killing your stream. Do that. Your persistent stream key is on. In YouTube Live or Twitch, copy a stream key that doesn't change each session. Network turn on automatically reconnect. Set delay to it. Okay. Okay, here. Stop. Use the same event. Enable auto start and auto stop disabled.